Asphalt Assault B Series. It's the latest event of the Asphalt Assault B Series with Real Sim Racing. With 10 races to go, we find ourselves at Chicagoland Speedway for the second time in 8 events. 3 drivers come in here, all with a dream of hoisting the championship trophy at the end of the season. Only one will be that much closer at the end of tonight's action. Good evening, race fans. I am Joe Cortez, live with Real Sim Racing's Asphalt Assault B Series on ETVLIVE.com. Joining me in the booth, Harrison Weidlitz. Harry, it's been a long time since we've been together. Glad you're here with me, and we are in for a real treat tonight. 107 laps around this tri-oval Chicagoland Speedway, and I think the best racing is yet to come.
Oh yeah, Joe, it's great to be with you here in the booth, and I tell you what, the points battle in this series is incredible. We've got 5 points separating first and second place, and then in third place, CJ LeVere, 33 points back, actually working his way forward, catching the leaders. The points are tight, the racing's tight, we're at Chicago, there's a lot of speed, there's a lot of draft, and it's going to be a great race.
As we get the points graphic up in just a moment, let's go ahead and go through your points leaders right now. Only 3 people realistically have a shot at winning the championship tonight. That's Bobby Terrell, currently in... check that. That is Bobby Terrell. That is Bobby Terrell, currently in first. 5 points behind him is Stefan Marinak. 33 points behind him is CJ LeVere. These 3 are fighting it out for the next 10 races to be your Asphalt Assault champion. Matt Lacrosse 4th, John Abbott 5th, Brian Harvey 6th, Rhett McBride 7th, Doug Roth 8th, Douglas Wyatt 9th, and David Lanza rounding out your top 10. And Harry, 3 quality drivers up on top of the board. Bobby Terrell, Stefan Marinak, CJ LeVere. You really can't say enough about each of these 3 guys and their contribution to this league.
Yeah, it's been an interesting battle. Stefan Marinak was leading the points for quite a while. But as you can see, Bobby Terrell actually has 9 wins on the season, and he didn't have the consistency at first, but he's been making an incredible rally the last couple of races, has taken the points lead after last week, and Stefan Marinak is trying to get the points lead back, so it's a really tight battle between the top 2, and CJ LeVere is sneaking up on them. He's gained about 30 points in the last 3 races.
Stefan Marinak was your points leader last week, going into Richmond, coming out of Richmond after a 17th place finish where his car literally barrel rolled over a wall into the infield and called it a night. He lost the points battle to Bobby Terrell, who finished 5th last week at Richmond. CJ LeVere, the big winner last week, but he's still, even with that big win, he's still 33 points behind. He needs another big win tonight, and he needs it in a big way if he wants to make his name known as a championship contender. And I think Chicagoland is going to be a differentiator for each of these guys.
Yeah, and they've run a few of these 1.5 mile tracks in the last throughout the season, really. Most recently at Atlanta Motor Speedway, I believe 2 weeks ago, and Bobby was able to get the win over I believe over Stefan Marinak late in the game. So both those drivers, they're up front in the points. They'll be up front tonight. This is a track where they got to watch their right front tire, keep that long run speed in the setup, and it should be really interesting how it turns out.
Last time we were in Joliet was July 18th, 2013 for the 20th race of the Asphalt Assault Series. Bobby Terrell walked away with the win there. CJ LeVere second, Matt Lacrosse third, and Stefan Marinak was not far behind in fourth. Now, you mentioned those 1.5 mile long tracks. Last time we did one of those was Atlanta, not terribly long ago. Bobby Terrell won that race as well. Stefan Marinak third, CJ LeVere fifth. So you have, in the last 2 times we've run a track quite like this, the last time we were here and the last time we run a similar track, you saw a very similar output. Your top 3 competitors in the top 5, it could definitely be a very interesting race here tonight.
Yeah, and one person that might be a spoiler, number 1 on the practice sheet, is not currently number 1 on the qualifying sheet, but Jose Gonzalez led practice. Now, he's 21st in points, and he's not a factor in this championship. However, these guys at the RSR League throughout the various series, they know who Jose Gonzalez is, and he's a very competitive driver. He's got, I think, 3 wins on the year in his partial schedule in the Asphalt Assault Series. But led practice, currently 3rd on the qualifying chart, and he could be a spoiler as well.
They call him Tequila Joe, and he does help out with getting these drivers set up and getting these drivers moving along this series. And, you know, if there's anybody who's really familiar with these cars, it is a driver, that number 26 machine, Jose Gonzalez. He definitely seems to have a handle on these B-Class Impalas and how they operate and how they run on this track. So you're absolutely right. He could definitely be a spoiler. But don't count out Terrell or Marinak. Right now, they're both sitting in the top 10 in qualifying. So these guys, if they have a good enough run, which we've seen them both cut through the traffic before, it wouldn't surprise me if you see them once again find their way up to the top of this field.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bobby Terrell currently 5th on the board, and CJ Oliveira actually out to an early pole. Looking at these speeds, the top 4 in qualifying right now separated by just over 100th of a second. So a really tight field in that battle in the top 4. And really, any one of these drivers can be a factor in this win. And looking at David Lanza, right now currently 6th in qualifying, has shown himself to be a driver who has had great long-run speed. So look for that 33 to even sneak up on them as well.
We want to welcome all of our viewers on ETV Live and ETV-eplay.net. ETV Live is the only choice in sim auto racing broadcasting. Since 2008, ETV Live has produced over 700 shows for over 220,000 viewers. ETV Live has pioneered and engineered some of the best innovations in online auto sports broadcasting, and with 3 packages available, you're more than welcome to book yours today. The industry experts at ETV Live, it's the only choice. Contact us at ETV-eplay.net, ETV-eplay.net, or ETV Live at ETV-eplay.net via email. Qualifying just about done. We will get to that in just a moment. But first, as we go into this week, I think it'd be crass of us if we didn't observe a moment of silence for those lost in the terrible tragedy 12 years ago. So please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the rendition of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Our own junior quartet, the Cactus Cuties, with the rendition of our national anthem. Couldn't find a better way to do it this week here on ETV Live. And of course, our thanks to the Virtual Thunderbirds for that beautiful flyby right before the race begins. They're lining up on the front stretch. Let's go ahead and take you down the qualifying order. Starting on the pole, the man whose voice needs to be heard the most tonight, CJ LeVere, in the number 4 machine, starting with a time of 31.070 seconds. Just on the outside of him in row number 1, Rhett McBride. 1/1000th of a second between these two drivers, Harrison.
Yeah, in row number 2, we've got Jose Gonzalez and Chad Cole, who could be spoilers. They're not in the points, but they are highly competitive drivers.
Points leader Bobby Terrell will roll off 5th in the number 7 machine. David Lanza on the outside of him in row number 3.
Row number 4 has Rich Jett to the inside of Steve Bonesteel.
The man second in points wants to get it back. Stefan Marinak rolls off the inside of row number 5 in the 24. Outside of him, the 81 of Steve Endo.
Coming from 11th will be the number 91 of Steven Maddox, and to his outside, the 38 of Hollis Vanderloon.
Row number 7 on the inside, Marvin Turnmeyer Jr. in the 16. Outside of him, Aaron Truscott in the 86.
Starting 15th will be the 78 of Keith Brooks Jr., and to his outside, number 43, Doug Roth.
Row number 9 belongs to Nathan Bowers on the inside in the 03. The 57 of Barry Hines starts 18th.
Row number 10 is Frank Coons to the inside of Jay Randall Watkins, who is 20th.
Row number 11, the 666 of Augusto Gabaldoni starts in the 21st machine. Britt Van Meter in the 27 starts 22nd.
In row number 12, we've got Jimmy North starting 23rd to the inside of Josh Cheney, someone to look out for, someone starting in the back.
Doug Fleming, Douglas Wyatt, Daniel Bragg, John Wilco, and Stephen Herring all not electing to take time tonight, and that will be your field of 29 starting tonight at Chicagoland Speedway. They roll off for the first parade lap of the evening, and if you're CJ LeVere, you couldn't start in a better place. Starting shotgun on this entire field, he needs to finish up there tonight if he wants to still be a contender in the points. He can finish top 5 and probably still be there, but a win tonight would definitely make him a contender to watch for the next 9 races.
Yeah, only 9 races left on the schedule. CJ LeVere, 33 points back, that is not an insurmountable deficit. He can come back, and he wants to start here. Clearly, he has come prepared. A very fast qualifying speed, but I tell you what, the whole top 4 and really the top 5, 6, 7, all really nice qualifying times. The top 4 all separated by just over a 100th and a half. Which is really incredible. So CJ wants to come in here with a lot of momentum. He's won the pole. Now he needs to lead that first lap and lead as many laps as he can. He has a shot at making this a 3-way battle for the Points Series Championship heading into the final races.
It wouldn't surprise me if he wanted to do that, and if he was able to do it tonight. The road to the championship starts here in Joliet, Illinois. Sweet home Chicago. Tonight, 107 laps for the second time, and they're not gonna do one more parade lap. The pace car will make it hard. Left turn down pit road, and CJ LeVere wastes no time, sees the green flag flying, and we are racing. Uh-oh, we already got trouble though on the track. We had a car in the infield already. That is the number 15 of Rhett McBride. Looks like he caught in the wrong line early, and he is gonna be gone for a ride. The 15 of Rhett McBride started second. Now he's gonna have to climb his way back from the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah, I believe he was going for 3rd gear and might have accidentally downshifted into 1st or something like that. The car takes a point downward right as he'd be reaching for 3rd gear. So Rhett McBride apologizing on the radio. Actually, I'm hearing that his gear shifter came off. So shifting problem for Rhett McBride. Jose Gonzalez might have sustained a little bit of right front damage from that, but these guys are able to keep it under control, keep the green flag out, and some good heads-up driving by the people around him.
The transmission problems already affecting McBride. He will be at the back of this field, and he's going to have a very long way if he wants to make it back up front. Chad Cole, the man in second and 66, and now the battle looks like it's starting to brew for third between Bobby Terrell and David Lanza. These guys battled hard back and forth all through the Richmond race last week, and David Lanza is somebody who could very easily be a spoiler. We talked about him in the pre-race show. He's somebody that could very easily come in, take away the race, and you wouldn't even know it until it's lap 107. That's how quiet he is about his style, and that's just how effective he is running these tracks.
Yeah, David Lanza is smooth and solid. When I got serious about sim racing back in 2004, he was one of my teammates for probably about 1.5 to 2 years. A real nice guy to talk to. We've heard he's been interviewed almost every week at this point. He's put a lot of great runs together. But Dave Lanza qualified 6th, has moved up to 4th since the start of the race, and he is, as you said, he's one of those guys who will catch you by surprise. He's very smooth, very consistent, and if he lacks maybe a 10th on long run speed, he can make up that and more, or excuse me, short run speed. He can make that up that and more, and catch you by surprise in the long run. As we've seen him the last couple weeks just be incredible on these long runs.
And this car really is set up for a long run. When we talked to some drivers before tonight's race in the practice session, the one thing they told us is these cars are very much set up for a long distance run. Don't worry about the short time, worry about the long time, because that's what's going to get you through all 107 laps in good position. So tonight's race is definitely going to be an endurance race between all these drivers, and at this Chicagoland track, it wouldn't surprise me if it does turn into a long green flag led enduro.
Yeah, as these drivers start to spread out and get a single file, there's a couple of side-by-side battles on the track that are quickly dissipating, but for the most part, these guys are being pretty patient. These drivers have raced each other a lot, and they know what to expect out of each other. And as they get spread out here, the track, it's fairly easy to retain control of your car on the long run. This setup actually gets a little bit tight, but with that being said, a setup can be easy to drive. That doesn't mean it's easy to get speed out of, and the drivers who keep their rotation in the cars, avoid getting that right front tire too hot, and keep that speed in the center of the corner are going to be the ones to watch. The qualifying speeds at around 31 flat, these cars will slow a full second or more, and right now they're falling down to that long run speed where we'll see who will be the ones to watch as they get these laps on the tires.
One driver that looks like he's having a hard time already is Doug Fleming. He started right in the middle of the pack towards the end, didn't elect to take time out here, started 25th, and now he's in a time zone all by himself, which is not where you want to be on this Chicagoland track. You will get past in a hurry. So Fleming might not have a handle on this setup yet. We'll have to see if it comes back to him later on in the race. Now also on the infield is Barry Hines in the 57 machine. He is in the grass on turns 1 and 2. No yellow flag out, but Barry Hines not exactly where he wanted to be. He didn't want to take the shortcut on the grass.
Wow, yeah, looking back at what happened to that 57 of Barry Hines, he caught the wall off of turn 4, it went to the grass, and he saved it, but then as he was trying to bring it back onto the track on the banking, it got sideways once again, and it became a whole battle for about 10 or 15 seconds, and the 57 car just able to get it under control a full half a lap later. So trouble for the 57 of Barry Hines. I hear there's a battle for third brewing.
There was a battle for third brewing, but they decided that discretion was the better part of valor, and they're going to back off a little bit. That's the 33 of Lanza and the 7 of Bobby Terrell. Both those guys, the 33 thought about getting underneath the 7 of Terrell. Didn't happen last time by. Is he going to nose around on turns 3 and 4 this time? No, he's not. They're going to continue to single file run. So the 33 of Lanza thought about it, but he decided discretion, again, the better part of valor, and deciding not to force anything.
Yeah, David Lanza is a very smart racer, and he knows we're 11 laps into this thing, and we've got just about 100 laps to go. It's actually about 96 laps to go. And so Lanza knows time is on his side, and right now he's probably pretty content with where he is. As the drivers in front of him fall off a little bit more, you'll see him try to make those passes. But we've seen that top 4 get very condensed. CJ Lavere was out to that early lead, and then these guys are on him now. Chad Cole, a competitor in the Full Throttle Cup Series and various other RSR series, not usually a competitor in this series, partial schedule this year, but Chad Cole's right there, and the points leader trying to retain his points lead. Bobby Terrell in third, and Dave Lanza is just right behind him in the catbird seat.
And one of the drivers you had your eye on earlier tonight, Harry, was that driver of the 26 machine. They call him Tequila Joe. Jose Gonzalez just made the pass around Stefan Marnak on the backstretch there. So score another position for Jose Gonzalez, and Stefan Marnak going the wrong way. He qualified 9th. He's in 7th now, but I'm sure he would love to be in 6th if the opportunity arose.
Yeah, absolutely. Marnak wants to get all that he can. And looking at the 26 car of Jose Gonzalez, you'll notice on the 26, when you catch him in view, He's got some front-end damage, actually, from when Rhett McBride, I believe. The 15 of Rhett McBride, when he had the transmission issue on the start of the race, that actually gave damage to the 26 of Jose Gonzalez as they made contact. So we'll have to see if the 26 is able to get his car repaired on the first pit stop and retain speed, but it probably is making him a little bit tighter than he would like to be and might be slowing him just a hair on the straightaway, but it doesn't seem to be affecting him too bad as he goes underneath the number 10 of Rich Jett to get the 5th place position.
Meanwhile, back up front, there has been the first lead change of the night. The man who won this race in 2012, Chad Cole, now leading this field. Bobby Terrell went with him, David Lanza as well. And CJ LaVere, who led the first 14 laps of this race, he is now scored back and forth behind him, the 26 and the 10, battling for position. That's Tequila Joe and Rich Jett. Rich Jett looks like he's got the advantage on the outside. The 24 of Stefan Marinak pushing him a little bit, and even though he's pushing him, it's not going to help him in the turns. So Jose Gonzalez stays in the top 5. Rich Jett, though, knocking on the door. And now all eyes are on Chad Cole. It's early in the race still, so there's still plenty of moving left to happen. But interesting position, interesting maneuver here to let Chad Cole by, and CJ LaVere happily backing off to 4th.
Yeah, CJ might be taking a little bit easy. Maybe he thought that his long-run speed was lacking a little bit. Sometimes you actually do maybe hop behind the car in front, or car that seems faster than you, try to catch his line a little bit. CJ now looking under the 33 of Dave Lanza, but not able to get underneath him down the front stretch. But Chad Cole and Bobby Terrell right now distancing themselves with some pretty good long-run speed. These are about as slow as these cars are going to get throughout a long run. It'll stay at about a 32 flat pace throughout most of this run. CJ LaVere looking to get 3rd place back, but as that all went on and he was stuck high for a little while and the 3 cars went past him, he lost some time on the leaders there. So when you lose that draft, sometimes it puts you in a bad position where you can't make that up. A lot of times, just a little bit of draft goes a long way with these cars, as we see Lanza under attack, the 26 of Jose Gonzalez going underneath Lanza. So Jose, a little bit of damage, not holding him back too much, as he's got himself back up to the 4th position right now, as long as he can complete this pass. And he's bringing Stefan Marinak right with him.
I don't know if the 24 Marinak's going with him, or if the 24 is going to force it anyways. Nonetheless, Jose Gonzalez picks up the position on the 33 of Lanza, and now here's Stefan Marinak knocking on the door of the top 5. He has made it into that pole position, currently scored in 5th. David Lanza all the way back in 6th. Up front, your 2 leaders have broken away from the field. Chad Cole, Bobby Terrell, bumper to bumper they drive, and they've got a little mini draft of their own going up front, and they're going to continue to work it for all it's worth. LaVere, Gonzalez, Marinak in the 24, your top 5, as they continue to run single file through this field. The only side-by-side battle I see on the track right now is between the 5 of Josh Chaney and the 16 of Martin Turnmeyer Jr. Turnmeyer easily gives away the position back to the 5, and the 5 now in the top 15.
Yeah, Josh Chaney in that number 5 is going to be someone to watch. He started this race in the 24th position. We're 20 laps in. There have been no cautions, and he has worked his way up to the 13th position. So that's 11 spots forward for the 5 car of Josh Chaney. And as we get maybe a caution or 2 later on in this race, and the 5 is able to catch up, he is somebody that I think can compete for a top 5 finish or better. But as we saw, CJ LaVere losing his touch with the leaders. The 66 of Cole, the 7 of Bobby Terrell are nose to tail, and as those guys were battling behind him, they took full advantage of that and distanced themselves, and leaving it working out their battle to themselves right now, which is probably what they'd rather be than have a 4-car battle for the lead. But Jose Gonzalez, as we're getting these laps on the tires, he seems to be getting great runs on exit. 26 of Gonzalez just gets under the 4 of LaVere, takes away the 3rd position. So Gonzalez, despite a little bit of nose damage, looks really fast right now and is actually gaining on the leaders.
But the one guy who looks like he's starting to have a little concerns on the field is the 33 of David Lanza. A lap ago, he just gave up position to that number 10 machine of Rich Jett. Now in front of him, another guy who's got some reason to be concerned. That's CJ LeVere in the 4, letting the 24 of Stefan Marinak around him as well. 26 of Jose Gonzalez on the apron down the front stretch. And I didn't think we were going to see the apron work out here, but it is working, at least for Jose Gonzalez. So shake-up in the top 5. It's going to be the 66 of Cole, the 7 of Terrell, first and second, then the 26 of Gonzalez, the 24 of Marinak, and the 4 of CJ LeVere stuck in the top 5. And then there's David Lanza in the number 7 machine. Check that, the 33 machine in position number 7, looking to give up a couple more positions as we continue this long green flag run. Stick with us, race fans. Plenty more action from Chicagoland Speedway coming up after this. You are watching ETV Live's live coverage of the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Nationwide Series here at Chicagoland Speedway. Stay tuned, race fans. We'll be right back after these messages.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4, and the checkered flag, he wins his first NASCAR racing.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Welcome back to ETV Live's live coverage of the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series from Sweet Home Chicago, Joliet, Illinois at Chicagoland Speedway. Chad Cole, Bobby Terrell still in control of this race. Stefan Marinak third, Jose Gonzalez fourth, CJ LeVere fifth, Steve Maddox, Rich Jett, Steve Almindo, Dave Lanza, and Hollis Vanderloon round out your top 10 here on the field. Not a whole lot of movement as we continue green flag racing out here on lap 30. And as we were looking through the field here, something that really caught our eye on the track is the number 77 of Randall Watkins. as we look at that paint job, a really sharp paint job on that 77 machine, really well done. You know, you don't see a whole lot of unique paint schemes like that, but he's got a real good one out there. I like it, Jerry.
Yeah, I think I think he's sponsored by John Boy and Billy, the big John Boy and Billy show, which I've heard out of Richmond a number of years back. I never knew who they were until I went to the Richmond Cup race. But actually, we were just updating Trading Paints, and Trading Paints was outdated for a moment there, and we had to bring it back. But actually, I want to point out there's a great battle been going on around the 33 of Dave Lanza, Rich Jett. There was a four-way battle between him, Stephen Maddox, and the 81 of Stephen Almindo. But what has happened is the 91 of Stephen Maddox, who qualified in 11th, has distanced themselves. They were 2x2 and sometimes 3 wide. It was an incredible battle back there for the 6th and 7th, 8th and 9th positions. But right now they've got it sorted out. But around 7th, 8th, 9th, they're still together.
Meanwhile, around position number 18 is the 77 of Randall Watkins, going 3 wide through turns 1 and 2. These drivers not budging an inch. Randall Watkins in the chili dog position. Rhett McBride down low. The 16 of Daniel Bragg. Check that. The 16 of Turnmeyer on the high side of that. They sorted out, but they're still 2 wide racing down there for that position. Number 16, Brett Van Meter, now leading all that. It looks like some guys made some contact with the wall there. Turnmeyer makes some contact. 77 now pushing him up. That's Randall Watkins, pushes him up into the wall. There's some hard racing down there, and I've got to believe there's a story behind that.
Oh, yeah, that was some difficult race. Entering turn number 3, last time by, the 77 was in the middle and backed out. These guys are really racing hard. 3 wide again down the front stretch with the 16, the 60, and the 86. But sometimes you catch that wall before you enter the corner. It makes you really tight. And I think, I want to say it was unintentional, but the 16 of Turnmeyer is really pushing it hard into these corners, trying to catch the 77. But when you hit the wall on entry and it upsets the balance for the rest of the corner, it's hard to get that back, as you saw 2 cars just wash up the track after hitting the wall entering turn number 1. But these guys still battling real hard around 18, the 60 and the 16 side by side right now.
And the 16, ever since hitting that wall, whether or not he was helped by the 77, and he's going to lose some positions as well. Right now, you can score Turnmeyer and that 16 machine in 20th position. The number 20 of number 86 of Truscott behind them, watching it all happen. Daniel Bragg on the inside, trying to solidify himself in position number 19. Going to have to give it away this time by as Truscott gives the push to the 18 of Turnmeyer, and Turnmeyer will get his position back, but not after taking a little piece of the wall in turns 1 and 2 with him. Single file throughout the track now, and now these guys look like they're just kind of getting ready for the long run. As soon as I say that, right behind the 33 of Lanza, there's another battle side by side going on. Steve Almindo in the 81 down low, Rich Jett in the 10 up high. Almindo gets a position on Jett in the 81 and 10. Still look like they're going to do a little dogfighting going into 1 and 2.
Yeah, Rich Jett, he had a strong qualifying effort, came from the 7th position, currently shown in 9th, but he's been up there battling hard for much of this race. Rich Jett, as you've seen, the Axel Construction number 10, a big Dave Blaney, Tommy Baldwin fan, and he's been doing a great job, and he's been looking pretty aggressive. Usually you see Rich Jett, maybe not the greatest. Actually, we have a battle for the lead right now.
The 7 of Bobby Terrell, the 66 of Chad Cole. These guys are battling back and forth. The 7 had it for just a moment. He had to get on the apron to do it, though. Is he going to get it through turns 1 and 2? Chad Cole holds on high. The 7 of Bobby Terrell down low, and they are drag racing down this back straightaway. Whoever wins this race into turns 3 and 4 and through 3 and 4 will have the lead, and Bobby Terrell has the advantage going on the low side of 3 and 4. They continue to battle neck and neck. It's going to be a photo finish at the line. Score Bobby Terrell his first credit led lap of the night, and a valuable bonus point for him. The 7, your leader, but Chad Cole, the 66, not willing to relent just yet. He's going to go way high, almost into the wall, and that's going to be enough to give the 7 the pass official and control of this race. Battles brewing behind him as these guys start going around, lead lap traffic and I'm noticing the number 24 of Stefan Marinac has now found his way into position number 3.
Yeah, it's certainly a side-by-side battle for the lead was helping Marinac out. We saw Bobby Terrell coming out of 2 when he completed that pass, was able to keep his car really, really low. You see on these long runs, the right front tire is working pretty hard and the car's getting tight. And if you're able to get off the corner like Terrell was, that is just extremely beneficial. But as the 66 tucks in, back behind the 7, who is now the leader, we see the 66 just stalking his prey right now all over the back bumper of the 7. In fact, the 66 looking high, but actually cuts back in line as they work around lap traffic. But Chad Cole, certainly the draft, when you get behind someone, you can just latch onto their back bumper and leads to a lot of slingshot type of maneuvers. But put Bobby Terrell to the lead, our points leader, trying to distance himself from Marinac, but Marinac running a real good pace and continues little by little to cut that lead down. So Marinac working his way to the leaders right now, looking great on the long run.
You know, Harry, I've got to believe a little bit that this lap traffic is helping out some of these guys behind him. They're catching on to that hot air behind him. They're able to kind of use that slipstream a little bit, and they're able to use it to catch up to some of your leaders. In the case of the 66, he's able to put the 7 behind some of that lap traffic and then use another car to get around the 7. So the 7 using lap traffic to his advantage, the 66 now trying to figure out a way if he can do the same thing. The 24 of Marinac now getting around Doug Fleming. That car is 1 lap down, and Marinac still looking to try to pick up some position. Can Doug Fleming give him enough push? And more importantly, can Jose Gonzalez catch up to the number 24 of Stefan Marinac before he's able to get up to your leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. When you start catching these lap cars, we saw the 2 leaders just pull away from the field. And when the cars third on back were kind of distancing themselves when they had some space and they didn't have that immediate draft, those lap cars, as you said, can be a great factor in helping you get some of that draft back. And as the leaders actually have gone single file again, the lap times, they seem to be last lap, the fastest lap on the track in the top 5 was Marinac again. So Marinac cutting about half a tenth off, it seems, every lap, and Jose Gonzalez gaining some time as well, but just passing the lapped car of Doug Fleming that time by, loses a little bit. But CJ Levere 2 seconds behind the leader right now. Then there's a big gap back to 6th. So it's an interesting battle brewing between the top 3 are all within a second, and Marinac is chasing them down.
Bobby Terrell remains your leader. Chad Cole second. The 17 of Doug Wyatt will be the next one to go 1 lap down, but he is not going quietly in that good night. He continues to run with your leaders politely, though, because he knows that, space is given where patience is shown, where patience is given. So Wyatt still running as much as he can with your leaders, but not trying to force the issue. He's going high to let some of you guys go by, including that number 26 machine of Jose Gonzalez, currently scored 4th. And even though we've talked about his nose damage as a result of the transmission failure of Rhett McBride earlier in the race, Jose Gonzalez has still remained incredibly competitive this entire race. He's still running in the top 4 with your leaders. If he had nose damage, it's certainly not affecting the handling of his car.
Yeah, it sure seems like he might have gotten lucky. He might have just lost those positions early on when he ran into the back of the 15 just because of the loss of momentum. A lot of times we'll actually see damage through the net code that maybe his car doesn't even have. But if that front damage is not really affecting him at all, his speeds look good, the long run speed looks good, and right now he's been holding steady about 1.5 seconds behind the leaders, and he was not that close at the beginning of this run. He has actually made his way closer to the leaders, but as the 24 is drafting off of the top 2 right now, Jose just doesn't quite have as strong of a draft, not able to get there right now. But he is right there. If they start battling, he can get there within 2 or 3 laps at the most. So the top 5 pretty close, but CJ Levere losing ground. Right now it's the top 4 are looking to get closer and closer every lap, it seems. And actually, as we're 49 laps into this race without a caution, it'll be interesting to see what happens as green flag pit stops are due to break out, and I believe probably like 5 laps from now.
Green flag pit stops look like they are going to be the order of the day, and if we continue going green flag racing, we could see only one pit stop on this race. When they cross the line, we will be scoring lap 50. That'll only give us 58 laps before we crown a winner here at Chicagoland. So the longer they run, the longer they get to that halfway point. And if they pit past that halfway point, then we know these cars have enough to get through to the very end of the race on only one change of tires and a full refill of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. So these drivers, no doubt about it, want to make it a one-stop race. And as we go look at the 10th place battle, the number 13 of Steve Bonesteel trying to hold off the number 38 of Hollis Vanderloon. A nice side-by-side battle. Directly in front of them, Josh Chaney has made his way up to 9th without a caution from the 24th starting spot. So a great run so far from Josh Chaney as the 13 clears the 38 for now, as they were battling for quite a while there for the 10th position.
Meanwhile, in front of him, it's the 10 of Rich Jett and the 81 of Steve Almindo. They are battling door to door. They are so close, you'd think their door handles would have been caught up with one another. Almindo getting underneath the 10 of Rich Jett, and that's all he wrote. Almindo will officially be crowned or credited with position number 7 this time by. Rich Jett forced to sit in 8th. And then you mentioned a minute ago, there's Josh Chaney in the 5 car. He's just kind of biding his time in 9th, watching these two drivers battle it back and forth. Josh Chaney, starting at the back of this field, has made his way up through the salmon ladder and has gone through, is able to broke into the top 10. But as they continue battling in front of that number 5 machine, you got to be thinking that he's thinking they're going to make some. That we're going to make some changes. Pit stops happening now. The 16 and 78 both down pit road on lap 53, and we're going to start seeing some pit stops here anytime now.
Yeah, a little bit early for those two cars. You want to get it to lap number 55 to be really safe on fuel. Or actually, they're actually pretty close. They're about 1 lap short. They'll have to save about a lap from here. I was thinking a 110 lap race. This is actually a 107 lap race. So these drivers, the guys in the lead, want to stretch about another lap or two just to ensure that they're safe on fuel. As I go look up to the number 7 of Bobby Terrell, still on the track. As he comes around, when he pits, he will be able to make it the rest of the way, as will most of the drivers in this race. But Bobby Terrell, currently still in the lead, has actually pulled a little bit on Chad Cole as they stay out this time by. So the number 7 out to a nice lead as they come across the line to start lap 55. Certainly these drivers want to stretch their fuel as long as it'll last them, not only to ensure that they have enough, which they now do, but in case there's a caution that comes out during green flag pit stops. That is a situation where a lot of people can make mistakes, and you don't want to get caught on pit road should the caution come out.
Aaron Truscott is next one on pit road. Leaders have not yet signified they're going to come down. Daniel Bragg now coming down to the attention of his crew as the leaders come by one more time. None of them coming down. Terrell stays out. Chad Cole, the 66, stays out. Stefan Marinak, the 24, stays out. John Wilco stays out, hoping to pick up some position. Jose Gonzalez is the first of your top 5 to come down pit road in the 26 machine. We'll look for 4 tires, full tank of fuel, and maybe a little Bondo tape on that nose to give him a little bit more aerodynamics as he makes the long run down pit road.
And what this does for Jose Gonzalez by pitting a lap or more before the few cars in front of him is the 26. The 26 will be able to make up, and as I hear the leaders are on pit road, the 26 pitting 1 lap before them is going to have fresh tires for 1 more lap than them, so he wants to use them to their full advantage. You can't merge until the backstretch, but the 26 looking to get a great run on the fresh tires as the leaders went 1 lap further than him. So we could see the 26 of Jose Gonzalez running right with the leaders when this shapes out, because he could gain that second just like that.
Bobby Terrell on pit road, 4 tires to the call. Chad Cole, the 66, on pit road, 4 tires as well. The call. Steve Herring coming off. A lot of other drivers coming off, but the battle is between the 7 and the 66. The 7 is that much faster. Bobby Terrell wins the race off pit road. Immediately behind him is the 24 of Steve Marinak. Chad Cole in the 66, big loser out there as he will drop 2 positions. Rich Jett now coming off pit road. Josh Chaney coming down to pit road for the first time and only time tonight. And the one I did not see come down yet is the number 4 of CJ LeVere. Oh, check that. Billy Javert already came down. He must have snuck in and out as we were watching your leaders.
It actually, Chad Cole, the number 66, side by side right now with Jose Gonzalez and the number 26 as they look to, actually, I thought they were about to go 3 wide. Jose backs off for the number 16, will tuck in behind Chad Cole. Bobby Terrell with a great pit stop is actually about, let's see, a second and a half ahead of the cars that he was battling before. So a great stop for Bobby Terrell as Chad Cole and Jose Gonzalez in the 66 and the 26 battling a few cars behind him in what will be for the second position once the full pit sequence is over.
Haas Vanderloon and Matt McBride make their way down pit road to complete the cycle of pit stops. Now that everyone's cycled through, it's Bobby Terrell back up front, Stefan Marinak second, Chad Cole third, Jose Gonzalez fourth, and CJ LeVere rounds out your top 5. Cole right now battling a little draft traffic and Martin Turnmeyer Jr. Jose Gonzalez immediately behind him. I don't think Turnmeyer Jr. wants to give up that position just yet. He does not want to give away any position that he could use later on. More importantly, Marvin Turnmeyer right now is the first car 1 lap down, so he could make it work for the Lucky Dog. 13, 91, 10, 81, all doing battle right now. Let's go ahead and watch them go 2 by 2 into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Bonesteel currently shown in 6th, moving his way forward from his qualifying effort. Under attack right now, Stephen Maddox in the 91 has had a lot of long-run speed as Rich Jett and Steven Almindo battle behind them. These 4 cars all together under a blanket practically, racing very hard as Steve Bonesteel tries to clear the 91 of Stephen Maddox, which he will off of turn number 4, but the 91 might be able to cross him over. Actually does not get the momentum that he was looking for, but a great battle after pit stops. Those 4 cars as Almindo now creeps up on the 91 of Maddox. So a lot of hard racing here in the middle of the pack and at the back end of the top 10.
Back in the top 10, they still continue to do battle. Maddox under fire immediately from Almindo. Rich Jett in the number 10 car trying to get around them as well. 4 cars all in line, all trying to make it work between them, and they're going to draft very easily around that 28 machine very, very quickly. That's Doug Fleming who goes another lap down and is going to be struggling to get back around. And then there's the number 5 of Josh Chaney. Don't give him any less credit. He's still running hard out there. He's still running very smooth out there. And if anyone's going to have a run late in the race, it could be that number 5. He seems to be working it very well. Battling once again within that group, Steve Bonesteel will pick up position now on, or looks like he's going to pick up position now on Almindo and company. And check that, it's Maddox picking up position on Bonesteel. Rich Jett looking to make something work out there as well. Not going to happen. Steve Maddox up to 6th. Steve Almindo up to 7th.
And Josh Chaney, the number 5, right behind them, is gaining on them fast. Josh Chaney will be a part of this battle before long. Probably in a lap, he will be on Rich Jett's bumper for the number 9th position, and that will be a 5-car battle. Josh Chaney, he will need a caution to compete for this win, but a great run so far. He's just methodically worked his way forward, moved up 14 positions as of right now, and about to join that 5-car battle, which is probably the best battle on the track as we speak right now. But that is Stephen Maddox, who has taken advantage. Stephen Maddox qualified 11th and quickly moved his way up to 5th or 6th towards the end of that run, now being back shown in 6th, looking to leave that battle. But I tell you what, these guys are hanging with him with that draft, and Rich Jett has been running in the top 10 all race long right in this battle.
Bobby Terrell, Steve Marinak, Chad Cole, Jose Gonzalez, CJ LeVere, your top 5. And to show you the disparity between the top 5 and the bottom 5, these guys, right now you're watching the battle between Maddox, Almindo, Bonesteel, Rich Jett, starting with that 91 car. These guys are almost 8 plus seconds behind your leaders. It doesn't sound like a whole lot to you and me, but on a racetrack, it's an eternity. And these guys need to stay in line, need to use that draft. As one of the cars, I believe that's Bonesteel, gets up into the wall, coming off of 3 and 4. Yes, that will be the 13 of Steve Bonesteel. Gets in the wall again. He's flattening out that right side of his car. In some tracks, it can give you the advantage. Here, he might need a little bit of help. He's going to give up position to the 5 of Josh Cheney, and Cheney breaks his way once again into the top 10.
Coming out of turn 4, that wall comes at you in a hurry. What happened to Bone Steel was he got a little bit loose through the center of 3 and 4, and he saved it, but as he saved it, the car loses its rotation pretty much, and it wants to go right. So as it sweeps out wide, back under control, he was pushing at that point. He didn't want to crank the wheel too much and get loose again, and it just sort of casually sweeps its way into the wall. Very easy to do here. I took some laps earlier in a practice and did that a few times myself. Very easy mistake to make. But Bone Steel paying the price for it now as he's faded back into the 10th position. And Josh Cheney gets by for 9th. And actually looking at the lead battle up front, Stefan Marinak in the 24 has been running times consistently faster than Bobby Terrell, who's in the lead. Chad Cole and Jose Gonzalez did not get out of pit road as well as the top 2 did, so they are in 3rd and 4th. But the number 7 of Terrell, the 24 of Marinak is chasing down the leader, and we will have a battle for the lead before long, I do believe, as Marinak looks to be a little bit faster, about half a tenth faster every lap.
The 24 also has the advantage of running with a little bit of traffic there. He can pick up a little bit of draft, and that traffic can help him get that slingshot effect you were talking about earlier, Harry, where he can really move up the track a little bit faster and have the air, the push and pull from the air behind those drivers work a lot better for them as they continue to go around. Now the 24 has cleared all of that lap traffic. Steve Marinak now going to have to go by himself and try to figure out a way through. The good news for him is he seems to be running a lot harder than the 7, so we do have a battle brewing on our hands. The bad news is the 24 going to burn up everything underneath him as they go around, and as he tries to catch up to that number 7 machine of Bobby Terrell. Terrell took the lead before those green flag pit stops, and he is not relinquished. He is wanted. He is not going to give it back anytime soon. Still green flag racing on lap 71. We continue with no caution flags whatsoever here at Chicagoland. Will that continue, or will the curse finally show its head? As we go to commercial break, we will be back in just a moment. You are watching ETV Live's live coverage of the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series from Sweet Home Chicago, Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. Stay tuned, race fans. We'll be back with tonight's conclusion of the race.
Plus other listeners where you could hear everything from big 80s metal to classic rock and roll, country radio, ETV Live Sports Radio, even adult and unplugged rock and roll. HDRadioNetwork.com, one of the fastest growing internet radio networks, HDRadioNetwork.com. Take it with you, cowboy. Get the mobile app for Android, iPhone, iPad, and all the rest from TuneIn.com.
Welcome back, race fans, to ETV's live coverage of the RSR Asphalt Assault Series. As soon as we go to break, check this out. Close quarter driving between the 60 of Daniel Bragg and the 03 of Nathan Bowers. Going into 1 and 2, contact made. Both drivers, though, able to save it. The 03 and the 60 able to keep it going forward on the track. Incredible save for those two drivers, both fighting for the same piece of real estate. Able to keep it going straight through. That is a quality move by both drivers as we continue green flag racing on lap 76. I have not seen anything quite this uncanny in my life. Before the break, we were telling you just a little bit about the gap between the top 5 and the next 5. Let's go ahead and show you a little bit. Let's illustrate that here for you a little bit. As you look at the camera here, you can see just how far your leaders are. Terrell, Marinac, Chad Cole are past the next group, that next 5 group. Stephen Mannix, 15 seconds behind. Josh Cheney, Rich Jett, Steve Almindo, Steve Bonesteel. Almost, again, nearly 7-8 seconds between those two groups. When you see it in this view, when you see it in this big picture right here, you can very, very well see the large gap that second 5 have to go through if they want to try to get a top 5 finish tonight.
Yeah, certainly. And I believe the drivers that are about 5th on back will not be able to make up all this ground, certainly without a caution. What happens is when you get battling in the middle of a pack, the drivers who are able to, the quickest drivers in the field, when they're able to be single file, can really take advantage of battles going on behind them and stretch that gap. As actually the battle for the lead is heating up, the 24 of Marinac has got himself right there. And I tell you what, watching these lap times, the number 24, Stefan Marinac, the fastest car on the track on this long run, he is there, and it won't be long until he's looking for, actually goes low, entering turn number 1, looks under the 7 of Bobby Terrell for the lead. This is with 28 laps to go. Marinac has made his way to the front. I don't believe he has led a single lap this race, but they're side by side going down the backstretch heading to turn 3.
They are side by side, and they want it bad. Back and forth at 24 and 7. Battle back and forth. The 7 running good on that high line, and once again we're at a drag race down the front tri-oval, and it's going to be Bobby Terrell with the lead this time, but the 24 is still not relenting underneath. Steve Marinac has the advantage through turns 1 and 2, and he completes a pass. Another lead change for the evening. That is Steve Marinac in the 24, getting around the 7 of Bobby Terrell. And that move right there might just be enough to get back that 5-point differential between Terrell and Marinac, but it's going to be cutting it real close. But Steve Marinac needs to get some more space between him and the 7 if he wants to safely get the points lead back tonight. Steve Marinac now in the 24 machine, now up front.
Yeah, Marinac finished 6th in the spring race, looking to do better than that this time. Just taking the lead as we are riding on board with Bobby Terrell, the number 7, looking at the 24 of Marinac. You see, now that he's in 2nd, he does have that draft. When you're in the lead, you're not catching as much. You're not catching a slipstream. You're opening a slipstream for someone else. But the 24 of Marinac was fast enough that it just seems like Bobby is just not cutting through these corners as well as the 24 is, as he enters turn number 1 very deep, loses that edge in the center, just cannot contain that speed as he ran up on the 24. But as Marinac in the 24 gets caught up on this lap car, Britt Van Meter staying high and out of the way, but Marinac having that enter turn number 3 more shallow could be an advantage for Bobby, but it looks like Marinac is going to be able to keep this lead. Sometimes that slipstream opens it up to the car behind you, but Marinac doing a masterful job right now. We have 24 laps to go. Marinac hoping to hold on after a disappointing wreck last week, ending his race at Richmond, and the week before that, losing the race late in the going to Bobby Terrell. And right now, Bobby is there again, looking low on the 24, entering turn number 3.
Well, you mentioned that Steph Marinac finished 4th in the spring race here at Chicagoland. Do you want to know who finished 1st in that race? That was Bobby Terrell in the 7 machine. So both of these drivers know very well how to maneuver around this track and how to make it run. C.J. LeVere, he finished 2nd in the spring race, but he's got a long way to go. If anyone needed a yellow flag out here, it is the number 4 machine of C.J. LeVere, currently running in the middle of nowhere right now. in that number 4 machine. He's got a little bit of lap traffic in front of him to help him out, but not enough to give him that push he needs. About 7 seconds between him and the leader, and that gap is getting wider and wider in a hurry.
Yeah, CJ Levert quite a ways back. But I tell you what, the 66 of Chad Cole, the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, as these leaders have battled, they have been single file and catching them. Bobby Terrell was able to get back into the lead, and as we saw that battle going on, Bobby was just trying to arc it a little bit higher on entry, and Marinac just couldn't bring it down in the corner as much as he wanted to. You see, when you're running below someone, it's easy to get tight in the center of the corner. You don't get that run off. You can't roll the bottom. And Bobby was trying to take full advantage of that to not enter these corners so shallow that the 24 would be able to clear him on exit. But Bobby in the 7 back to the lead, but the 24 of Marinac is trying to work his way back to the 7, and their speed has been very similar all race long, and this looks to be a battle through the final 20 laps. When they reach the start-finish line, it will be 20 to go without any cautions, and the question is, can the third-place car of Chad Cole make his way all the way up to them? The answer would be yes if they continue to battle, but the more single file they are, the more time that Chad Cole and Jose lose.
There are 2 groups right now who could absolutely benefit from a yellow flag, and that is everybody running at the top 5 running behind Bobby Terrell, and then the second 5 led by Josh Chaney in the number 5 machine. Right now, you see him running with Steve Maddox behind him in the 91 machine, and that's where your second 5 start to break up a little bit. Rich Jett in no man's land between 2 drafts. He's going to need some help if he wants to catch back up to that group. And then there's Steve Bonesteel and Steve Almindo. These guys have been battling back and forth for 8th position, for 9th position. About the last 2 or 3 laps. Almindo now is losing position to Bonesteel. Bonesteel has picked up the position in the 13 machine. He will go up to P9, and Steve Almindo in the 81 back to position 10 as these guys continue to go back and forth. That might be the most competitive battle on track right now, only because you have 2 drivers who are driving very, very similarly and can battle back and forth with each other with really nothing to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. As Josh Chaney, who we were talking about before, actually made his way all through that battle. We had a big 5-car battle not too long ago. Chaney passed all of them and drives away from them. Josh Chaney in the number 5 is currently running in the 6th position, but he is so far behind the 5th place car that he needs a caution to compete. As Chaney actually gets a little bit loose at it too. For a second there, I thought we might have had a caution, but we don't. We stay green. Green 90 laps into this race as Chad Cole has narrowed the gap to the leaders. Chad Cole, the 3rd place car, 7/10 of a second behind the leaders. Jose Gonzalez not gaining as much time, 1.5 seconds back, but before long, this might be a 3-horse race all the way to the checkers.
Definitely could be a 3-horse race. Love to see how everything pans out as we continue to run. Green flag, no yellow flag at all among this group. Bobby Terrell up front, Steve Marinac second, Chad Cole third.
Yeah, last time by, Bobby Terrell went a 32.16. Second place car, Marinac, 32.13. And then in third, 32.05. That is 0.08 of a second. Last lap, Chad Cole has gained. He is 6.5 tenths back. And I tell you what, the closer he gets, the more draft he gets, the faster he goes. And with only about 15 laps to go here as they cross the stripe, this is getting closer and closer. And who would have it any other way? The 2 points leaders battling in the points, nose to tail for the lead. The 3rd place car not in the points could be a spoiler, could change things for these guys. It'll be really interesting to see how they race each other as we get to the finish.
Executive producer just spoke to me just a moment ago, correcting me on the spring race there. I was looking at the summer race here at Chicagoland. The spring race actually belonged to the guy running in 4th right now, Tequila Joe, Jose Gonzalez, one of your winners in the series. It was the summer race that Bobby Terrell won here at Chicagoland. So clerical error on my part, for which I appreciate the correction on. Bobby Terrell still wants to make it 2 for 3 out here at this racetrack. He's back up front in first. Steve Marinak, though, doesn't want to necessarily give it away. And then there's the guy who can ruin the parade for everybody, Chad Cole, in the 66 machine. He is running that apron line with the 24, trying to get the push, the advantage, and it looks like it's working. The 66 closes the gap a little bit through turns 1 and 2, and now the horses come out to play. Time is running out. Little over 10 laps to go before we crown a winner, and it's still anybody's race. Terrell, Marinak, Chad Cole, your top 3.
Yeah, when you use that apron going down the front stretch, you can gain about 500s. As you see, all 3 go to the apron this lap. The main thing you have to look out for is to be really straight when you come back onto that banking, to not upset the handling of that car, because you want to get that wide arc entering turn 1. And I tell you what, Chad Cole is doing it better than anyone right now. He is creeping, and he has narrowed that gap 3/10 out of the lead. We have 12 laps to go right now. Next time by will be 11. Marinak doing all he can to try to get around the 7, as actually Chad Cole gets a little bit loose through the center of 3 and 4. But a great battle for the lead. All these drivers doing everything they can. And who would have thought it would come to this? We have been green for 96 laps. We just began lap 97, and this is the battle for the lead that we have going on.
Who would have thought we'd be running green flag all the way through? Could we see a perfect race? Only time will tell. 11 laps to go. Terrell still in command. And what really entertains me is we were talking to these drivers before the race, with as weird this car was set up, as tight as it was, a lot of these drivers were worried that they weren't going to be able to run that apron line down the front stretch. But you see Terrell, Marinak, and Cole running it in perfect formation out there. You even saw the 43 machine in front of them. That'd be Doug Roth's machine. You saw him running it just as well. Now they're 3 wide going into turns 3 and 4. Doug Roth high, Bobby Terrell in the middle, Stephen Marinak down low. Now the 7's going to go up high, opens the door for the 24. It's a drag race once again, and with the 24 having the advantage on the low line, he picks out the lead once again. Stephen Marinak, he is a leader on paper, but how long will that continue for? Stephen Marinak continues to lead, battling side by side with the 7, playing chicken, pushing the 7 up the hill, but the 7's got the push from the 66. This is exactly the moment the 66 of Chad Cole's been waiting for. Now he gets to pick his dance partner and punch his ticket to the front.
Stephen Marinak saw a situation he could have taken advantage of. They came up on that lap car, the 43 of Doug Roth, and he saw it as a great opportunity for him to get that lead, look 3 wide around Bobby Terrell, and that brought Chad Cole right to them with that side-by-side battle for just over half a lap. But put Marinak back up to the lead. He needs to run 8 laps in a row with no mistakes if he wants to keep this lead. But they're coming around lap traffic, and there are 4 cars in front of them that they may catch before the end of this thing. But Bobby Terrell able to hold off the 66 of Chad Cole for now, but 3 cars all together this time by. They are all within 0.3 of a second, I do believe. Chad Cole exactly 0.3 out of the lead. Is Marinak back up to the point, and Marinak needs to win this race to make up points on Bobby Terrell, who has a 5-point lead on him as we speak. And Bobby has won 9 of these races this year to Marinak's 5. As Bobby gets a little bit sideways in the middle of the straightaway, he caught the wall, felt that wall glue, and as he yanked it away from the wall, lost a lot of momentum. Chad Cole taking advantage of that, and 7 of Terrell looking to get back by him, tucks in behind the 66 by a lap car, and it's a side-by-side battle for second, which actually, as the 66 gets a good run entering turn number 1 as they exit 2, the 7 of Terrell looking for a way around that 66 car, but Marinak is really enjoying this as Marinak is able to pull away just a little bit.
6 laps to go, and now look who's in the mix as well. Jose Joe. He looks like the 26 machine is fueled by alcohol as he's got a big run out there. He's now going to try to battle for the 4th place position. Meanwhile, the 7 and 66 battling side by side. The 66 trying the apron line. Didn't work as well as he wanted to that time by. 5 laps to go as they cross the line. Chad Cole still hangs on to second. Bobby Terrell in third. Jose Gonzalez now trying to pick up position as well. And if you're Stefan Marinak right now in the 24 machine, you are happier than a clam on the beach, happier than a pig in slop, happier than insert your own adjective here. Stefan Marinac wants to see these two battle behind him, because the more they battle, the more they go around. The 16 now into the wall in front of your leaders. No yellow flag out. They continue to race. 4 to go.
Just say Marinac loves seeing the battle behind him, but he hates seeing the battle in front of him, and that was a close call for Marinac. But the battle for second place remains side by side. Bobby Terrell knows that he needs every point that he can absolutely get, but as they continue to race side by side for that second place, it puts the win into Marinac's hands as long as he doesn't make a mistake. Right now, half of a second in front of that battle for second, and Jose Gonzalez making his way into that battle for second as he runs behind the 66 of Chad Cole down that front stretch. Bobby's in desperation mode. He knows that he is running out of time fast. Only 3 laps to go. Marinac out front. Bobby, I believe, has led the most laps. We'll have to go back and check that. But currently, he is not in the lead as Jose Gonzalez looks 3 wide entering turn number 3, but backs out. Chad Cole gives all the room in the world for the 3 wide to happen, ends up losing a spot because of it. So Jose up to position number 3, but Bobby Terrell gets clear of that battle. With only 2 laps to go, it's going to be hard for him to catch up to that 24 of Marinac, but he's going to try.
26 of Jose Gonzalez as they saw the Popsicle 6 that time by. He will pick up position number 3. Chad Cole in 4th. Bobby Terrell back in 2nd. And Stefan Marinac did not want to see that, but I think he's got bigger things on his mind right now than who's behind him. He just wants to see the white flag come out this time by. Bobby Terrell up front behind him. Jose Gonzalez now putting pressure on the 7 machine. White flag flies, 1 more to go, and in 1 more circuit we will decide who the winner of this race in Chicagoland is. With Stefan Marinac has a huge lead, so the battle right now between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Terrell holding off Gonzalez and Chad Cole. Chad Cole doing everything he can to get his name back in the mix. Jose Gonzalez racing for pride, and Bobby Terrell racing to hold on to his lead. Stefan Marinac has a stranglehold on it. Battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Nobody making the move coming off of turn 4. Checkers in the air. It will be Steve Marinac, your winner, side by side for 2nd. Bobby Terrell finds a way to pull through. He will hold on to 2nd. And for Jose Gonzalez, it's 2 seconds too late. If he had 1 more lap, he could have finished in 2nd, but he ends up in 3rd. Chad Cole 4th. CJ LaVere rounds out your top 5. If you're Stefan Marinac, you are relieved and 107 laps of green flag racing is over. If you're Bobby Terrell, you are happy with a 2nd place finish. And if you're Jose Gonzalez, you really wanted this race to be 108 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great win by Stefan Marinac. He was about a 2.5 behind the leader, Bobby Terrell, coming out of the green flag pit stop. The race went completely cautionless. We're talking about a 29-car field at the Chicagoland Speedway, and unbelievable, it went cautionless. We end up with 12 people on the lead lap, and I tell you what, our tight points battle, 5 points separated Bobby Terrell and Stefan Marinac going into this race, and it's going to be closer than that as we leave, as the 2nd man in points gets his 6th win of the year, narrows the gap. I don't believe he'll have the points lead, but he will be closer. It might be a 1 or 2 point lead, or they might even be tied. I'm not 100%. Actually, by my calculations, I think it's a 1 point lead for Bobby Terrell as we speak right now. But Marinac did what he had to do. I don't believe he led the most laps, but he got the win, and that's all you can do when you're trying to chase down the leader.
Douglas Wyatt going over to give the congratulations to Stefan Marinac as he burns up those Goodyear tires, tears up the sod. I don't think I've ever seen anybody as excited to win this race. Stay with us, guys. The post-race show is next. We will recap the race for you, go talk to your top 5 finishers of tonight's events, and see how this works up to the next race in the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series. Stefan Marinac continuing the party in turns 3 and 4. We'll hear from him next in the post-race show, coming up after these messages.
Hey, JD here with ETVLIVE, and let me tell you something. If it's too big for the pickup truck and you need to move it, there's only one trucking company you need to call, and don't bother with the Yellow Pages Cowboy. I'll give you that number in a minute. Manufactured goods, automotive, technical equipment, furniture, even if you need a reefer, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated is the only choice, Cowboy. With locations in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Rancho Cucamonga, California, if you need to move it, store it, and keep it cold, you need to call Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated. Long haul, short haul, or just across town, Gary Mercer has the best trained and qualified drivers to get your load from point A to point B with professionalism and on time. So remember, Hoss, if it don't fit in a pickup truck, you're going to need a real truck, Cowboy. Sponsors of ETV Live's Friday Night Showdown, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, 1-800-668-2980.
What an incredible finish here at Chicagoland Speedway for the Real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series. Let's go back through that second place finish you saw live here on ETV Live. Going through turns 3 and 4, it was Bobby Terrell all the way. Then Jose Gonzalez wanted it. Something awful gets underneath the 7, but it's too little, too late as he completes the pass probably about 1,500 yards away, and about 1,000 yards away from the start-finish line. Heartbreaking third-place finish for Jose Gonzalez. Bobby Terrell walks away with the second-place finish he needed to go hold on to the points lead tonight. So it rounds out as follows. Stefan Marinac, the winner here. Your second place in points will pick up valuable points on Bobby Terrell, who finished second. Tequila Joe, Jose Gonzalez in third. Chad Cole fourth. CJ LeVere in fifth. The bottom next 5 looks like this. Josh Cheney in the 5 machine finishes 6th. Steven Maddox in the 91s finishes 7th. Steve Bonesteel in the 13 finishes 8th. Steve Almindo in the 81 finishes 9th. And Rich Jett in the 10 rounds out your top 10. Let's go take it down to victory lane and elated Stefan Marinac climbing out of the car and talking to our own Harrison Weidlitz.
Yeah, absolutely. Stefan Marinac getting the win after a frustrating event at Richmond 1 week ago. A great race, a cautionless race. And Stefan, you have to be elated. That had to be an incredibly fun race to be a part of.
Yes, sir. This win means more than any other win we've had this year. I ran a race before this race, an official race, and I wore out my tires so fast, and it screwed me for the rest of the race. So I learned that. I was able to save my tires, and that really, really paid off on the long run. I made up 2 seconds on Bobby and Chad, and that put us in a good position for the pit stops, and it made it a lot easier from then on out.
Yeah, and after that green flag pit stop, about 56 laps into the race, about a second and a half, a full 2 seconds back, as you said, and made up all that ground. And obviously, you feel that your tire wear was better. You were saving the tires a little bit better. And where do you think you were gaining the most time on Bobby?
It was really just on the long run, like out of the corners. The setup's really loose on the short run coming out of the corner. So if you keep the car straight, you're going to be a lot faster than those guys on the exit. And that's where I was making up all my time. I was able to get a good run off the corner and get a good run down the straightaways.
I tell you what, you were in the points lead for quite a while until the shift last week with that disappointing finish, the wreck. But the points, I believe, just updated, and right now they have a 2-point difference between you and Bobby. So you've narrowed the gap from 5 back to 2 back. This has been a great battle all season long, and it looks like it's going to be an intense battle all the way through the end of the year, and just looks like it's going to come down to the final race, really. Looking at the rest of the schedule, are there any tracks that you're really looking forward to? Possibly other 1.5 milers, or really anywhere you go, you feel pretty good?
I'm not really sure about Loudon next week, but I think we should be good at Dover. And then, Talladega, you can always make up a bunch of points at. But I'm telling you, it feels so much different going into the race second in points. There's so much less pressure, and I think that had something to do with it, to be honest with you. I haven't been in second for a while, and I mean, I pretty much went into this race with almost no pressure.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible how that works. You find yourself in the second place in points or second in the race. You have less to lose. You can push harder. And I tell you what, who would you like to thank after an incredible win tonight between the top two? A great race, a great finish. Congratulations to you. And who would you like to thank?
We had the Excalibur crossbow car. Crossbow season's coming up in Florida this weekend. Hippie's Paint Shop painted that car. Axo Sanitary, they sponsored me in the Full Throttle Cup Series this year. I can't thank them enough for doing that. And everyone at Fearless Racing.
And that's our winner tonight, Stefan Marinac, gaining what he can. It's unofficially a 2-point gap between him and the points leader. Our second place finisher tonight, Joe Cortez, is caught up with Bobby Terrell.
Bobby Terrell worked his way up from the 5th place position to finish second tonight. Bobby, you led so much of this race. I know you wanted to make it another win for you tonight to make it number 10 on the season, but second place ain't bad after this long caution-free race.
Oh, second's good. I mean, I'll take it. I know Stefan thought he was good on the long run, but so was I. I mean, I gapped him on that first run on the long run. I just got to I seen him coming, and I just kind of laid up a little bit and raced with him a little bit to see what he had, and then I was going to pull away, and then his teammates kind of got in. We got in some lappers, and I wish I could have got back to him, and not raced with his teammates, but that's just part of it. It was still a good run. I'll take it.
Bobby, walk us through those last 2 laps. Walk us through the battle that you had with Jose Gonzalez and Chad Cole. Those guys were fighting you tooth and nail out there. How were you able to keep the number 7 in front of them?
I was just concentrating on Stefan. I was just trying to get after Stefan, and I just wanted to get back to him and try to race him for the win and, try to get under him somewhere. But when you get to battling with people, and it kind of slows everybody up, and then I'm sure Stefan was loving it. He was looking at it in his mirror, and he was thinking, that's just awesome.
Definitely a boon for him and a boon for you guys for him points-wise. Right now, you only hold a 2-point advantage unofficially over Stefan Marinac looking to the rest of the season. What's it going to take for you and the 7 team to make sure that 2-point advantage is what you need to win this championship?
I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing all year. I mean, I know Stefan talked about pressure, but I raced motocross for about 25 years, and I've been in this situation before, so I'm just going to try to win what I can and see how it plays out.
Real quick, tell us about that transition from motocross into the sim racing world, and what are you able to take away from your motocross time to all the way up to the end here, to what you're doing now with this potential championship in your hands?
Well, I mean, I've raced professionally for several years and qualified for some of the 125 Supercross mains, like you see on TV. So I know what it's like to have pressure, but I just keep doing the same thing I'm doing, and hopefully it'll pay out in the end.
Bobby Terrell, any shout-outs you want to give? Anything else you'd like to say for the benefit of our viewers? The microphone's all yours.
I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth, and of course Inside Sim Racing for sponsoring it, Hippie's Paint Shop, Real Sim Racing, my teammates. Like I said, it's been a good season. I can't complain, and thank you guys.
Bobby Terrell, your points leader, only by 2 points, finishing second tonight in the number 7 machine. You're watching right now a replay of that battle between the 7 and the guy who would finish third, Tequila Joe, in the 26, finishing third tonight in what was almost a photo finish. Harrison Wilds has caught up with a driver, that number 26 machine.
Yeah, Jose Gonzalez making a race out of second place right at the end, a four-way battle for the top, real close altogether, but a real close battle for second right at the line. Jose Gonzalez, the first thing I have to ask you is you had a scare on lap 1. I believe it was Rhett McBride who had a transmission issue, missed a shift, and it looks like you caught some damage from it, and I was wondering if the pit crew had to fix any of that damage during the pit stop and if it affected the speed of your car at all.
Yeah, I had to race the whole thing. I mean, I couldn't believe that we didn't get one caution. I was praying for that caution since lap 1. Yeah, he had something going on with his gear, and I guess he missed a shift or something, and just went sideways right in front of me, and I got 7 seconds of repair. But since I had to pit under green flag, I didn't want to spend 7 seconds on the pit, so I didn't fix anything. As long as I was in the draft, I could keep up with the car in front of me, but I didn't have enough to get to the front. You know, I was lucky there at the end. Chad and Bobby started racing together, and that's how I got caught up to them. But yeah, I wish I could have fixed that damage. It was just like 7 seconds, so I'm sure if I fixed it, I would have more speed.
Yeah, it certainly, without any cautions, puts you in a box where you can't fix that damage. But early on, I thought it was going to be pretty rough, and then you start coming back quickly, and certainly kept up with those guys and had a great pit stop, I believe, if I recall, and was able to get some time, but really came on strong at the end. And as I see, you've run about half of the series. You've missed 13 or 14 races in the series, I believe, so you're not quite in the points, but you've won 3 races, and we saw you led practice, qualified up front, knew you'd be a factor. And are you looking to run a bunch of the races for the rest of the schedule?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna race all the races if I can. There's a separate championship for the last 10 races that we're doing in RSR, so at least I'm racing for that, and just having some fun and be part of the team.
Yeah, absolutely, that's correct. The segment championships with the RSR, as well as the full season championships, being a factor. And Jose, a great run tonight, despite that damage, up there in the lead battle all the way to the end, and just coming up oh so close to that second place finish. But a great run tonight, despite that damage. And who would you like to thank after tonight's race?
First of all, I want to thank Steven Almendo because he taught me everything I know about thunderstorms last night. And so I've been very happy today about that. And my teammates are Stefan and CJ, hippiespaintshop.com, and everybody at RSR and ETV. Shout out to Cowboy.
Cowboy via JD Webb. He's here tonight on the premises doing some producing work, filling us in our ears with various information throughout the race. Thanks to JD for that as well. And that's our third place finisher, Jose Gonzalez. A strong run tonight in a cautionless race, Joe.
Incredible racing by all the drivers here at Real Sim Racing around this 1.5 miles at Chicagoland Speedway. Race took only a little bit over an hour, and I think the official time was about an hour and a half. 7 lead changes through the field, 1 yellow, 1 pit stop area, one pit stop for each of these drivers out here, and no yellow flags on the field. Bobby Terrell remains in control of the points lead. Stefan Marinak only 2 points behind. CJ Lavere finishing 5th tonight. He'll now be 37 points. He loses 4 points on your 2 leaders. Still mathematically viable, but it's getting tougher and tougher with each race. Matt Lacrosse, Rhett McBride, John Abbott, Brian Harvey, Doug Roth, and Douglas Wyatt and David Lanza round out the top 10 in points. Harrison Wilds, your thoughts on tonight's race?
Well, certainly an incredible show, and as you just mentioned, Matt Lacrosse dropping out of the points battle. But I tell you what, CJ Lovere is there. I believe 8 races left after tonight, and one bad race, and he's in the mix. CJ Lovere has nothing to lose. We saw him a lot of short run speed. He won the pole with a great time, unable to be in the lead battle at the end. But this points battle has been great all season long. 2 points separating the top 2 drivers after 28 events. It's incredible racing, and it'll be great all the way through the end of this season.
And that will do it for us tonight. Don't forget to join the Cowboy, JD Webb, Jimmy North, Evan Pasco Tuesday night at 9 p.m. for an hour of rewind, looking back at tonight's events and other broadcast events, dramas, and topics too hot to touch. The boys ramp it up in the BS and back talk segments with thoughts and opinions on some of the hot topics in the online and occasional real racing arena. It's an all-new show, fun and entertaining, no rules, no BS. Rewind, BS, and back talk, 9 p.m. Tuesdays on ETVLIVE Radio. They'll be talking about this race for sure next Tuesday when they go to the airwaves on ETVLIVE Radio. So on behalf of our entire broadcast team, technical director Laura Lawson, our executive producer J.D. Webb, and my co-host for tonight, Harrison Weinlitz, I am Joe Cortez, congratulating Stefan Marinak on million number 7 for the season. Will he be able to get back the points lead? Only time will tell when we go back to Loudon next week with the real Sim Racing Asphalt Assault Series. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.